Hello, people. Welcome to another episode of Grand Football TV. My name is Mr. Chigs, and if you're just joining us for the first time, you are welcome. Okay, the results are in, and some of you might be saying, what results? If you have been following a couple of videos before this one, you would see we have been doing the end of season review on the Premier League, and we voted for a few things on there. You know, things like player of the season, goal of the season, worst signing of the season, flop of the season, goalkeeper of the season, manager of the season, and so on. Yeah, so today's video, we are looking at the results. And I want to say a special thank you to all the guys who voted. Shout out to the COG football team. Yeah, and also to the Grand Football pundits, all the pundits in the Grand Football community. Yeah, so that's who we've based this voting on. And everyone came out and voted. We did have about 40 odd votes. So we've used that because I know there are a lot of people from different fan base. So it's not just a Man United fan base. It's not just an Arsenal fan base. It's not just a Chelsea fan base. It's not just a Liverpool fan base. It's not just a Man City fan base. All over, man. All over. People who don't even really have a fan base in the Premiership. Maybe they support Real Madrid or Barcelona or Inter Milan or AC Milan and stuff like that. They casted their votes as well. We also had people who are neutral. They don't say they support any team, which I always worry for them kind of people. But they voted as well. Yeah, so the results are in. The results are in. So we're going to go through the results for each category, and I'll tell you the winners. You know, some of them I might say who came close, but some of them I'll just go outright and say the winner of that category is this, or that. Yeah. Okay. The first one we'll be looking at is goal of the season. Goal of the season. If you want to know who the nominees were, you can go back to that previous video where we looked at goal of the season, so we don't start wasting time talking too much about all the nominees. But the winner, with 32% of the votes, is Alejandro Garnacho's goal versus Everton. It was the obvious choice. A lot of people went for that goal because of the Rooney-esque, you know, nature of the goal. So yeah, Garnacho's goal has won the goal of the season. Goal of the season. Okay, now we move on to the next category, which is the signing of the season. The signing of the season. And we have to give a special shout out for the runner-up because it was a close runner-up, you know, with 35% of the votes. But the winner with 58% of the votes is Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer is the winner, and the runner-up is Declan Rice. So that's why I said we'll give him a shout out because, you know, I'm an Arsenal fan. We have to mention the Arsenal player. Fair play to Cole Palmer. He won it fair and square. All the guys, you know, most of them, 58% of them voted for Cole Palmer to be the winner. So well done to Cole Palmer. And then we move on to the next category, the worst signing of the season. So the second place came up with 20% of the votes, but the winner with 44% of the votes is Mason Mount. Mason Mount of Man United has been the worst signing by your votes, by the votes of the community. They've gone for Mason Mount as the worst signing. And the 20% who was second is Moises Caicedo. Chelsea fans will not be happy his name is even mentioned there, but that's the votes, guys. That's the votes. I'm sure some of your Chelsea fans even voted. Who knows? Yeah. Okay, we move on to the next category. The next category is goalkeeper of the season. Goalkeeper of the season. And this one, it's interesting because it isn't Jordan Pickford, who I thought it would be, because he finished third with 9% of the votes. It isn't Vicario, because he finished second with 14% of the votes. And with a whopping 67% of the votes, the goalkeeper of the season with the most clean sheets goes to David Raya. David Raya. Based on your votes, based on the community votes, they have chosen David Raya as the goalkeeper of the season. And remember, guys, if you want to know who all the nominees were, just check back on TikTok on all the videos that have been posted, and I'm sure you find the one for the nominees for each category. Yeah, so just go back to those videos and you will find it. Okay, we move on to the young player of the season. Young player of the season. And the votes has gone, well, there's a joint second, and it was Conor Bradley and Alejandro Garnacho with 18% of the votes. Conor Bradley and Alejandro Garnacho both finishing second with 18% of the votes. But your winner with 38% of the votes is Kobbie Maino of Man United. He's had a wonderful season. He burst into the scene. In fact, before the season started, I noticed the young lad when Arsenal played Manchester United in the pre-season friendly, and he was very good in the midfield. And I was thinking, who is this lad? And he's gone on to have a good season. Didn't start well, but eventually when he was slotted in, he did his bit, and now he has won the Grand Football Young Player of the Season. Okay. Now we move on to Revelation of the Season. So these votes were based on peak players you might know, but you haven't heard much of them before, until the season. And they've just done some great stuff, maybe scoring goals or having great performances all through the season. And in second, joint second again, was Mateta and Solanke with 17% of the votes as your revelation of the season. But the clear winner with 52% of the votes is Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer has won the revelation of the season. Cole Palmer has won the revelation of the season. Wonderful. So he's got the signing of the season as well as the revelation of the season. Interesting. Okay, so we move on to the next one. The flop of the season. The flop of the season. And we have in second place a Man United player, Andre Onana, with 17.6% of the votes. And the winner for the flop of the season goes to Anthony, also of Man United, with 26% of the votes. Yeah? Okay. So we move on to game of the season. Game of the season. And with 41% of the votes, you have chosen the game between Chelsea and Manchester City, the 4-4, as the game of the season. The game of the season. And Chelsea Man United again came in second with 24% of the votes. So Chelsea have given us some good games this season. Yeah? So well done to them. So they win their game with Man City wins the game of the season. Then we look at the last two big ones, the manager of the season and the player of the season. So the manager of the season, the third place goes to Unai Emery with 9% of the votes. In second is Pep Guardiola with 39% of the votes. And with 50% of the votes, it goes to Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta. I know Pep, eventually won the league, but you have to give it to Mikel, who did a lot of good work. That's probably why people have voted him. Pep, we're used to him winning now, so maybe everyone's just started to say, oh, Pep, 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 Pep. So they've gone for someone else, in my opinion. So yeah, Mikel Arteta is the manager of the season. And then the last but not the least, the player of the season. The player of the season. And in third place, it goes to Martin Odegaard with 18% of the votes. And then in second place is Cole Palmer with 26% of the votes. And in first place is Phil Foden with 30% of the votes. So yeah, Phil Foden is our player of the season, the Grand Football Player of the season. He's had a great season, and I'm sure he will go on to do greater things even in the Euros to come and years to come. So congratulations to everyone who has won these awards this season. And next season, some of them I'm sure would not want to be on some of that list, like the worst signing and the flop of the season. They'll probably want to change that. So yeah, that brings us to the end of this video. Remember, if you haven't seen all the nominees before this awards were given, you can go back, look at all the nominees, leave your comments. If whichever one you are not happy with, obviously nothing we can do now. The votes have been cast. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in. Join us same time next week. Grand Football, for the love of the game.